Yo, so I'm back for another reaction video. So I'm reacting to it's actually a section of a podcast that I already reacted to called the Millionaire Mindset Podcast. And this particular investor is explaining a situation that happened to him in the past that I see personally right now happening to a lot of people that are looking to become investors. So I'm going to play the clip and then I'm going to react to it.
The miscellaneous maintenance of the property, I was in the red every month, $400 from the day I acquired that property. Tenants don't pay, so that doesn't mean that I was getting paid every single month.
Exactly.
Right? Yep. What ended up happening, I got presented with doing the quote-unquote BRRRR strategy. Right? Everybody talking about it. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you what ended up happening. The original purchase price of that property was $220,000. I went back to a mortgage company. They played with the numbers like what's happening today in 2023. And that same property that was purchased for $220, that was overpriced, all of a sudden miraculously was worth $240. Tenants weren't making payments. I had to decide a serious decision. Welby, this is either your life or the property, because financially I was destroyed, wiped out. Not only that, my ego as a man was getting destroyed too. So then now I had to make a decision on economically, Welby, either you're gonna have to let this property go or you're gonna fight until you die. I ended up having to give it up and not make payments. My credit went from a 730 credit score at the time, and it dropped quickly down to a 600. Tenants knew that my property was going to foreclosure. They weren't paying. The bank started threatening me. Chase Bank started threatening me that, hey, this property is about to go to foreclosure. Property's about to go to foreclosure. Then one day I get notified the property went to foreclosure. So the property that I bought in 2004 for $220,000, 2 years later that I refinanced to $240,000, went to auction and sold for $60,000.
Okay, so and essentially, everything he's saying is correct. Now, how he pointed out today, right? I see this happening, because of this real estate hype cycle, right? Where you have people on the internet talking about BRRRR, and then you have these TikToks. And I'm a real estate agent, so I get a flurry of people every day. I would say between 20 and 50 people that reach out to me every day saying, hey, I want to get a rental property. And it's come to the point now where it's almost all of like the same like mindset and kind of like around the same sentiment. And you can almost tell that a lot of these people really aren't educated on how real estate investing works from the rental side. There are only, for the most part, two people that are winning in the real estate market right now. That is the sellers, that could be a real estate investor or a primary homeowner that's selling their property, and the real estate agents, right? The real estate agents are making, a lot of commissions, and the investors are making good money because there is a shortage on properties. Because there's a shortage, well, you have more buyers than you have sellers, even with higher interest rates, and people are putting in multiple offers. There are bidding wars going on for these properties. So when it comes to this whole BRRRR thing, what's happening is you have higher interest rates on money, okay, and you have higher prices. But what you're starting to have is rents are starting to come down in most places. So you have a lot of these uneducated, would-be or wannabe or, people that could become good investors in the future that, they're all trying to run into the real estate market. And what they don't understand is what they're trying to do is not going to work. You're going to end up in a situation like this gentleman did back, during the last real estate crash, where you're overpaying for these properties and then you won't be able to get as much rent as you think. Now, in his case, his renters weren't paying, right? But you're going to be in a situation where you're going to be paying a part of the rent out of your pocket because you're buying the property too high as rents are coming down, okay? And this is something that a lot of people don't understand. There's a lot of people right now being hurt because of the whole Airbnb marketing department, where people bought into all these Airbnbs. Well, now people aren't really renting out Airbnbs. And for me personally, I'm only a fan of Airbnb in beach towns. In beach towns, right? So, waterfronts in Miami, Hawaii, Los Cabos, like beach towns where people, where it makes sense to rent Airbnbs. I had people contact me that got Airbnbs in the hood. It just doesn't make sense because of that hype cycle, because these marketing departments and people are getting these high interest rate debt, thinking that they're going to get passive income or cash flow. And what ends up happening is they end up upside down. Nobody's renting the property. If they do find a renter, the renter won't pay as much as they need to cover the debt. And then they just end up, just paying extra money for this thing. They end up moving into it to live in it. You know, it just puts people in a bad situation because people get caught up in the hype cycle and they don't pay attention to the numbers. What matters in real estate is the numbers. People never look at the numbers. I see wholesalers send me deals and I'm just like bro, like these numbers don't even make sense, right? And in real estate, it's a numbers game. If you're somebody out here that's trying to do the BRRRR method, get a rental property, okay, I'm going to tell you now, it's going to be a lot harder for you if you don't have 100% cash. That's number one. Number two, if you don't have systems and processes to be able to reach these sellers before they get to the MLS or before they're listed on the market, you're not going to be able to get a good deal where the cash flow makes sense to pay the high interest debt. Okay. The people that have the cash, they have wholesalers and you know, people out here that are looking for these deals for them and that are bringing them these deals. They don't have a bunch of middlemen attached to them. No daisy chains, right? No brokers attached to them. So they're able to get them a lot cheaper. Those people will do fine in the market. But if you're somebody that's new and you're financing and you have no systems or processes to be able to get these off-market deals, well, essentially, you're going to get the shit into the stick. That's just how the game works because, you know, you don't have that understanding. And I get people, they hit me up every day, you know, yeah, I'm trying to get a rental property. How are you paying for the rental property? I'm going to apply for a mortgage. You know, you're going to finance it, right? So, and I'm like, well, when, where, how, like, where are you going to do it? What is the rent? What is the mortgage going to be, right? You haven't even gotten your credit ran and submitted your documents to even know what your mortgage is going to be versus how much this property is going to rent for to see if you're going to break even, if you're going to lose money, or if you're going to make money, right? So these are things that people don't think about because they get caught up in these hype cycles that they see on TikTok, that they see on these Instagram reels or YouTube reels, stories, whatever. And they, you know, the majority of people right now that are financing and trying to do these BRRRR methods are crashing out, especially the newer people, right? They're just straight up crashing out right now. But, you know, the solution to all this is to have a lot of cash and be able to get properties directly from the seller with no middlemen and no daisy chains. That's how you do this. If you're somebody that's trying to get an agent to find you stuff on the MLS, you're going to take an L because everything on the MLS is marked up. And the reason for that is because there are more buyers in the market than there are sellers. So people are driving up prices. So you're going to pay top dollar, you know, for a property that it just doesn't make sense. It's just like with the stock market. You buy low and sell high. But the majority of people out here, especially on the Airbnb side, are buying high. And then once you're already at the top of the market, there's nowhere for you to go. It's going to cost you money to sell the property. You're going to lose money renting the property out. And then the other thing that he mentioned is sometimes these tenants don't pay. You know, it's just a part of the game. I've had that situation with rental properties too, where the tenant just wasn't paying. So now I'm paying out of my pocket for the rental property. That is just a part of the game. So, you know, when it comes to being a real estate investor, it's all about a numbers game. The key is getting the property as cheap as possible, but you're not going to do that on the MLS, okay? Unless the property's been sitting for like 2 years and the seller's willing to take less. And the other thing is, we're talking about residential real estate. Anything 4 units and under is residential. The ball game changes once you go above 4 units. That's just something to think about. And that's just real.